Have you ever felt like no matter what you did, it was never quite enough? Like someone else was always doing better, getting higher grades, being more talented, more disciplined, more successful, and even when you tried your best, you still felt like you were coming second in a race you never signed up for. If that sounds familiar, you might have grown up as the child who was always compared. And that experience shapes you in ways most people don't see. You weren't just being motivated, you were slowly being taught that your worth depends on how you measure up to someone else. When a child is constantly compared to siblings, cousins, classmates, or even the neighbor's kid, they don't hear encouragement, they hear, "You are not enough as you are," even if those exact words were never spoken. Comparison changes how a child sees themselves. Instead of asking, "What am I good at?" they start asking, "Why am I not as good as them?" Over time, this creates something psychologists call conditional self-worth. This means you don't feel valuable just for being you. You only feel valuable when you're achieving, impressing, or outperforming others. And when you're not, you feel small. This child grows up constantly scanning the room for where they stand. Who's smarter? Who's more confident? Who's more successful? Because comparison became their emotional language. You might notice this in adulthood, when someone else succeeds, and instead of feeling happy, you feel a quiet heaviness in your chest. Not jealousy exactly, more like a reminder that you're falling behind. That reaction didn't start now, it started years ago, when love and approval felt tied to performance. When praise sounded like, "Why can't you be more like your sister? Look how well he's doing. You should learn from her." A child doesn't process that as guidance, they process it as rejection. So they grow up believing they must constantly prove themselves. This often turns into perfectionism, but not the confident kind, the anxious kind, the kind where mistakes feel like proof that you were never good enough to begin with. You may overwork yourself, push beyond your limits, struggle to rest without guilt, because slowing down feels dangerous. If you're not improving, you're falling behind. If you're not achieving, you're disappointing someone, even if no one is actually saying that anymore. Another hidden effect is people-pleasing. When a child grows up being compared, they learn that approval can be taken away. So they become hyper-aware of others' expectations. They try to be the good one, the reliable one, the one who doesn't cause problems. Because deep down, they're still trying to win a comparison that ended years ago. But here's the painful part. Even when they succeed, it rarely feels satisfying. They reach a goal, and instead of feeling proud, their mind immediately jumps to, "But someone else is doing better." Achievement becomes temporary relief, not lasting confidence. Because the real wound was never about success, it was about feeling accepted without conditions. Children who were always compared often grow up into adults who struggle to know who they really are. When your whole life is about measuring yourself against others, you don't get much time to ask, "What do I actually want? What feels right for me? What kind of life would make me happy?" Your identity becomes shaped around avoiding being less than, instead of discovering who you truly are. But none of this means you're broken. It means you adapted. You did what you had to do to feel safe, accepted, and valued in the only way you were shown. That child inside you wasn't weak. They were trying to survive emotionally in an environment where love felt conditional. And survival strategies don't just disappear when we grow up. They follow us into adulthood, into relationships, into careers, into how we see ourselves every single day. But awareness changes things. The moment you realize I was taught to measure my worth through comparison, you create space for a new way of seeing yourself. Instead of asking, "Am I better than them?" you can start asking, "Am I being kinder to myself than I used to be?" Instead of chasing someone else's timeline, you can slowly learn to notice your own. Healing from constant comparison isn't about suddenly becoming confident. It's about slowly unlearning the belief that your value is a competition. You were never meant to be a copy of someone else. You were meant to be a person with your own strengths, pace, and path. And maybe, for the first time, you can begin to see yourself not as someone who has to catch up, but as someone who was always worthy, even when no one said it out loud.